Greg Garza.
Good morning.
Morning, dude. It's been a
I, I,
while.
I still am globetrotting. I'm in Nashville right now.
Oh wow. Okay. So why are you globetrotting in Nashville, sir?
So I was selected to be one of the MLS's spokesperson for it's called MLS ICA, which is Intercultural Awareness. So just trying to help everyone adapt to this league the best way possible. I think being trilingual kind of helps, and we have a lot of international players that come to the country, and they sometimes need to understand what is accepted within the country that they're living in, but also how to behave, how to. So it's essentially mentoring adults,
Yeah.
how to be good people.
No, that's very cool. How'd you get tapped to do this with ICA?
So Luis Robles, who is the former New York Red Bull captain and goalie, he had asked me a while back, and just out of the blue, and I said, "Man, I would love to." So it has been the last 3 weeks. I think I have been. I don't even want to know how many miles I've flown, how many hotels. It's like reminding me of. It's been a lonely life the past 3 weeks, and I got 2 more weeks to go, and then I'm done. So
Okay. So
yeah, I
so
got.
in 2 weeks when we catch up with you, what hotel room are you going to be in next time?
No, I'm gonna be home. I'm gonna be home. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So, what's it like mentoring adults? I mean, it's a fascinating situation here that you're attached to with ICA. What's it like, bringing fellow footballers through this stage of their life involving Major League Soccer, something obviously near and dear to you, but also growing the game and making sure that everyone understands about their environments. What's it like for you mentoring adults?
Yeah, I'd say it's a little different because you see a lot of former teammates. You see guys that you've played against or played with. It's I would say it's an area of growth, right? Because these guys, you would figure that. I mean, you would hope that most guys that when they're playing at a professional level, they understand sometimes the social responsibilities that come with it. And so in a way, sometimes it kind of makes us ask the question is like, man, we really need to focus on, bettering the environment, and also bettering people who come from different places to understand what is expected within the environment that they come in. And I think that's where you understand where the MLS is the most diverse league in the world. It is the most diverse league in regards to nationalities and countries represented or backgrounds of any other league in the world, like by far. So it's just helping people understand that, sometimes there are things that might be accepted, or there might be things that they're just still maybe ignorant to whenever they get here, and they're not aware of certain things that need to be taken into consideration, and also really thought about whenever you're in our beautiful country that provides a great opportunity for them to do what they love and make a job out of it. So it's almost teaching. It's like I'm a teacher, teaching adults, guys that are making a lot of money and doing what they love, but hoping that they can get the most out of it and listen. I will say this has kind of been a bet between a few. It's a few former pros that were doing it. I think it's great because the league decided to put in guys that have played, guys who speak different languages, but guys who have a connection and kind of a bond with the league. And a lot of the guys that are there, it's great. I think they would listen much more to us than maybe somebody walking in with a suit on that works from the league. So the coolest and most interesting thing for me, and I always tell Luis as well, is that I've been keeping my tabs, and I'm kind of making my tallies of who I think will win the league this year. Because of not the diverse culture that is within every team, but the team culture. the most interesting thing that I have found is that when I get an hour and a half to speak to these teams, when we're doing a lot of interactive things, is that I get to see the team culture, how strong they are. Are they a championship team? Right. And that's been the coolest and most interesting thing for me so far.
And obviously, I would think that the learning goes both ways because, bless you, because those of us here in the States, in the home of Major League Soccer, should desire to learn just as much about these cultures that are coming into the country to be a part of Major League Soccer and not just be two separate things here. It's like to make sure that we're as open and outgoing in understanding as we are letting folks in so they understand what's going on here in the U.S.
Most definitely. I think I've learned so many things about, people's backgrounds and where they come from, what origins they have and kind of what values they have as well. But I think at the end of the day, for you to be successful, and especially as a professional soccer player, when you go different places, you must understand the value of adaptability. And Mike and I actually talk about that all the time with kids, right? It's like you aren't going to play for the same team always, right? You have to be the most adaptable. Adaptability is huge into being successful. So, I think a lot of these guys, they have the opportunity to come and play within this league, and you still need to help them adapt the best way possible for them to be the most successful that they can be. Whereas I think there's been too many incidents in the past to where things have happened and, it's not, they just don't understand what is accepted and what is needed to be successful within the environment that they're living in. Right. This has a lot to do with, the racial differences that we have within the United States. This has a lot to do with color. It has a lot to do with race. It has a lot to do with equality, right? And just helping people understand, the rules, right? The rules that wherever you are, there are rules in place, and you kind of have to abide by them. And I know even for myself, I think being a globetrotter within my career, for me to be successful within those other countries, I learned the language, right? I learned the language as quickly as possible. I learned about the culture. I learned about their history. I had these wants and ideas because I didn't want to be that different person. I wanted to, blend in with my teammates, but also blend in with the culture. And I always use the example of, one of my biggest pet peeves was like the first year playing in Portugal, I was always the American, right? Always the American, always the American, always the American. No matter how well I spoke Portuguese, and I spoke Portuguese in a Brazilian way, because that's the way I had learned it in the beginning. In the Portuguese, they speak much differently. And I pride myself that whole entire year of just learning how to speak Portuguese in a Portuguese way. And I did. And then the second year, it was no longer the American, it was my first name. And so, I think that's something that a lot of these guys, I think when they come into the league and they have an opportunity to be successful and do what they love and make money doing it, you have that responsibility and that accountability to adapt to wherever you are. Right. I think that's the beauty of playing all over the world.
When it comes to teaching and learning with these athletes in Major League Soccer, is it more conversational? It's like, well, hey, here through my experiences, I saw this, and this, or are you pulling incidents from other leagues? Like I remember Edinson Cavani got in trouble a couple of years ago in the Premier League for saying something, and it means something in his culture differently than how we would view it in English speaking cultures. Is it more evidence-based or is it more anecdotal?
No, it's both. But there is a lot of evidence. And that's the unfortunate piece is that, it's kind of behind the curtains, and I don't think many people know. But there are a lot of unfortunate events and incidents that have happened within this league. And it stinks to show them. It really stinks to show them because and I think that's where I think that social responsibility comes into play. And it's like, man, if you made it this far and you are a pro and you do what you love and you make a lot of money doing it, then you should know this is not acceptable. You should know that there are ways to act. There are things that you cannot say. We talk a lot about the competitive stress kind of how that comes into play, right? Competitive stress, the psychological piece of it, which I know absolutely jack squat about, but because I'm not a psychologist, but it is real, right? You are more likely to say something or do something you regret whenever the heat of the moment, right? And I think just helping them understand maybe how to control that, or understand that, hey, if you do say something or if you do something, there will be consequences. There will be, it can't just be a slap on the wrist. And, I think we've seen it in this league, and, happen to others, to where things are said or things are done, and just they're unacceptable for all of us to be professionals. We are working in an organization. We are working in a very professional environment. So you have to act the best way that you can, because a lot of these guys, they're not going to be doing this forever, right? They're going to be put into another setting to where vocabulary might have to change. There might be things that they might say within a locker room that they would never be able to say in a corporate setting. And it's just helping them understand that, hey man, like this is real. This has happened. We show incidents and events that it has happened within the environment and the league that we are playing in. So we got to put a stop to it.
And it goes to the whole element of being role models as well, because you're a role model within the organization. You were chosen to be a part of an organization because of how you could represent it. First and foremost, we feel that you coming into this organization could represent us the way that we wish to be represented. And then you end up also secondarily being a role model in the community, because you never know who you're going to see. You never know how those interactions are going to rub off on others. And it's almost a twofold kind of a thing here. It's about, first off, being welcomed in, as you said you were, and going through those initial stages of acceptance and understanding. And then once again, being a part of that community going forward. This is a multi-pronged, three-dimensional thing you're talking about here.
It's an ongoing training, right? And I always say it's my ultimatum is that sometimes it's really hard to change a person, what's embedded and what's deep down in them, but you can change their behaviors. You can change their behaviors. You can change their decisions. Sometimes can't change a person, right? And it might be a person who's an addict or a person who's an alcoholic. They will always be, right? They will always be labeled as an alcoholic or an addict, but they have changed their behaviors and they have changed their ways to use the correct tools to not go back to that. And so that's been a major case of what we're doing. And this is an ongoing process, right? This is a pilot program that we're doing, speaking to every single team, and we're going to have to continue to do it over the years to come. And I think it's great that they have allowed us as former players to be a part of it, because it's a huge movement that we need to really take into consideration. I'll say two things. I guarantee you, and I didn't even know this, I played in the league for 4 years. I've asked veterans. I asked Diego Chara the other day. He's played in the league for 15 years. He's been a professional for 20 years, 21 years. That's the most I've ever seen. 21-year professional.
Yeah.
And I was like, and you're still 34. And I got everybody to laugh. But it's like one of the things that I think has been kind of really cool to see is that the crest, the MLS crest. All right. If we were to pull up an image of an MLS crest, or if you have it there around you, there's 3 stars on it. 3 stars on the MLS crest. Do you know what they stand for, John?
No. What do they stand for?
No, not one person. I'd actually like to see if anybody in the chat, in the comments, if anybody knows what the 3 stars stand for in MLS crest.
Okay. That's the question of the day. What are the 3 stars?
Question of the day. Stand for. Yeah.
Okay,
right.
go for it. All right.
Well, now I got to give you the answer, but
no. You can dance around it, but you can talk about.
Okay.
Hey, I learned about the 3 stars of the MLS crest. Yeah. Just keep going.
Before I give the answer, I'll give the second thing that I wanted to say, and I think that like, if I look back at how successful Atlanta United was, right? I think those years we can say they're long behind us, right? Mm-hmm. We still got a lot to build, and we got a lot to grow to hopefully get there once again. But I I would love for people to understand, if you look back at that 2017, 2018 team, how involved those guys, every single player, including myself, how involved we were within our community.
Mm-hmm.
How involved were we with the fans? How involved were we with everything around us? That social responsibility. And I haven't seen the same. And I hate to break it to the new Atlanta United players, but it's not the same. That connection has been, in my personal opinion, has been kind of long gone. That personal connection between fans and between the community. I think every single player had something special to represent within that community. And that to me is what makes championship teams. And that's the team culture that I get to see with these other teams. You get to see their team culture with a lot of the exercises that we do and a lot of the, a lot of the workshops that we do. You see how involved they are with their communities and their environment where they already are. And you see guys that really don't care, and they're just there, right? They're just there to play and to kind of, make money and all that kind of. Then you guys see that are willingly involved in everything that not only the club but the city represents. And that's where I say, like, I look back at a championship team. I look back at where almost mostly every single guy had some sort of special connection with the city of Atlanta. And that to me, I take it back and I'm like, well, that's a championship team. But I will say the 3 stars stand for club, for country, and for community. Mm-hmm. And so I had no idea until I started. We had to do about 40 hours of training to be able to present these presentations. But it's great. All these guys, they wear this crest on their jersey every single day, right? They're representing their own personal values, the club's values for their club, for the country that they represent, right? The nationality that's behind them, and also for the community in which they serve. So it's pretty cool to see that how diverse the league can be within regards to nationalities, but also just that, like I said, that social responsibility that comes behind it.
Greg Garza, our friend from Beyond Goals Mentoring, globetrotting, and I hope that you're getting all the miles and points as humanly possible. See, there you
go. That was the first. I have all these guys keep flying United and American, and like AJ De La Garza is a guy that's also flying around, and he's flying every single airline. And my first email, whenever they asked me to do it, I said, I only fly Delta.
There you go.
So I was like, hey, Atlanta, Delta flies anywhere from Atlanta, right? You can go. I mean, I took the last flight out to Nashville last night. It was like at 10:45. It's like, you just see how convenient Atlanta airport is. Man, that's the good thing about living in Atlanta and having Delta right in your back pocket.
Mm-hmm. And you get to hop anywhere, and you're locked into one airline. See, that's you got to teach AJ about this kind of stuff. You can't just fly Spirit and Frontier and United and American, because you're not getting anywhere with. It's like, okay, I got like 100 miles here and 100 miles here and 500 here.
Yeah, no, you got to keep it. You got to keep it under one roof. Yeah.
One roof, one hotel thing. You got to lock into your favorite, and you got to go there. I mean, you got to take AJ to the side and go, bruh.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. So I've been racking up the Delta points and racking up the Marriott points, man, trying to prepare for next Christmas and some travel with the kids, man.
There you go. Greg Garza, and we morphed the Friday Free Kick into talking about the ICA program with Major League Soccer. And this is very, very cool that that you're talking about mentoring fellow players and adults this week. And it was, once again, it's stuff that we stumble into. Remember the 4 selves. We'll talk about that later. We only got 5 more minutes with you, so keep the 4 selves to the side.
We'll do this. I will say the 4 selves today, and this applies to anybody and everybody.
Yeah.
And then the next time we speak, we'll go over.
Okay.
The 4 selves. Number 1 is self-belief. Number 2 is self-discipline. Number 3 is self-assessment, and number 4 is self-regulation.
Okay.
Those are the. It's my favorite exercise that I think I've done with any kid. It's my favorite exercise that I think I've done with any team. They were not given to me. They were given to me by the head scout of U.S. Soccer, and I created an exercise out of it. but I love it. It's like for you to be successful in anything, I always tell kids, right? Because we gotta remember a lot of these kids, 0.0001. If we really talk statistics, they're gonna be somewhere else, right? They're not gonna use soccer,
Right.
As their platform for the rest of their life. Soccer is going to teach them so many valuable tools, but the anything, whatever you do in life, if you believe in yourself, and I always ask the question, like, what is that, and what is self-discipline, right? What is self-discipline? And it's really easy to say all these things, and then they start to like look at it. Even you as a regular person, right, or an average Joe, you say, hey, okay, man, can I do this? And then self-assessment, right? Only being honest with yourself, nobody else. And the self-regulation, the control, the balance that goes behind it. When those were given to Mike and I with the national team scout, it was just like my whole entire career, right? When he was giving us those was just like, even as a kid, we're just like flashing in front of me. And I was just like, I was thinking about myself, right? Just using those 4 things in particular moments of my career, like how much discipline was needed, how much belief was needed, how much assessment was needed, continue to study the game, look at myself and no one else, and just regulation, right? Finding a balance and finding control in everything that you do. It was interesting, man. And I've loved it. There have been so many, I flew my mom down to take care of my kids while I'm doing all this travel. And so sometimes I'll pop in the house. Like tonight, I get home super late, but I'll still mentor. I got to mentor a kid right after this before I go speak to Nashville.
There you go.
Man, I was out of the kids I've mentored, and my mom has just been watching. She just kind of like watches in the corner of her eye. She every time I get off, she's like, "Man, there are some intelligent young kids in the world today, man." Because the things that they come up with the exercises that I do are insane. Like not even I could think about some of the things that they come up with. So it's pretty cool to see like a lot of these kids are just getting smarter and smarter and smarter, man.
No doubt about it. You're doing fantastic stuff there with the ICA program. Glad to hear that, that's part of the globetrotting experience for you. You're in Nashville for the day. You've got a mentoring session once you're done with us. Then you go and mentor adults at Nashville. Yeah. Man, I'm loving all this stuff, and we'll talk about it more next time that you're hanging out with us. Be safe, stay warm, enjoy.
Yeah, it's raining. I don't know what the weather like is in Atlanta, but it's raining here in Nashville, so I can't really walk around. I mean, the only thing that you see in Nashville anymore are just bachelorette parties anyway, man. So it's like that's all they have here. Which I don't know. I talked to somebody from Nashville the other day, and they were like, it used to not be like that. But I feel like every time I've been to Nashville, that's all you see is like 1,000 this is like the bachelorette paradise. It's not Vegas.
You go walking down the main drag, and all you see is like 5 and 6 groups, 5 and 6 groups of 5 and 6 women wearing the cowboy hats and the boots and no socks, and they're doing bachelorette parties, and one's wearing a tiara.
You got it.